Trudeau in Canada used COVID as a way to line his own pockets and those of his friends with giant fat contracts. Well, that's exactly the charge being leveled right now by Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre. Watch this.
The Prime Minister's Arrive scam is now flailing out of control. Today, revelations from a Joël Denis Bellevance that one Arrive scan company received $250 million in contracts. Let's get this straight. It's a company with 4 employees, headquartered in the basement of a tiny cottage. They got IT contracts, even though they admit they do no IT work. $250 million. WTF.
Here, here.
WTF is right. And Poilievre has asked the RCMP to expand their, quote, criminal investigation into the Trudeau government's use of this. So what exactly is he being accused of here? Let's ask Canadian journalist David Kraydon, who, David, you just wrote a piece for the Post-Millennial on this. So what exactly is Poilievre saying? What is the RCMP looking into here? What did Trudeau potentially violate?
Well, what the RCMP needs to look into and what Parliament needs to continue to look into is how an app that was supposed to cost $80,000 ended up costing $60 million. That's about a 750 times increase. And just so your viewers understand, what is an Arrive can? Well, like a lot of cute sounding Canadian devices, it had nefarious reasons for being invented, and it didn't work. And that's the thing. It was supposed to be an app. If you came back into Canada or you're entering Canada from another country, this Arrive Can app was supposed to make it easier to get into the country so you could prove you had your 2 vaccines, which at the time was absolutely necessary. You couldn't even travel in Canada without having 2 vaccinations. You couldn't leave the country. You couldn't come back into the country. So the Arrive Can app was supposed to make things easier. And it was supposed to cost, get this, $80,000. The whole thing. And it ended up costing at least $60 million. But here's the kicker, Clayton. We don't even know if $60 million is accurate. That's a conservative estimate, no pun intended, small c conservative estimate by the Auditor General of Canada. Now, if there's one office left in Canada that is purely nonpartisan, I would say it's probably the Auditor General. I don't trust National Defense. I don't trust CSIS. I don't trust the RCMP for being nonpartisan. But the Auditor General seems to have her stuff together. And Karen Hogan revealed last week that this app had gone 750 times over budget. But here's what she said. The Canadian Border Services Agency's documentation, financial records, and controls were so poor that we were unable to determine the precise cost of the Arrive Can application. Using the information that was available, we estimated the cost at approximately $59.5 million, Hogan wrote in her Auditor General report. So it's at least $60 million for an app that didn't work. And that's the thing that just, is this a third world country, Clayton? This is what I keep asking you about Justin Trudeau's Canada, because not only is Trudeau responsible for this, he gets up in the House of Commons last week and once again distracts. Not my problem. Let's talk to that guy over there, please, because I'm not really responsible for the government and the spending that goes on here. And Pierre Poilievre, Conservative leader, was quite right to say that this was just unacceptable. And obviously this app had more to do with Justin Trudeau putting money into the pockets of his friends, as he said in the House of Commons, than doing anything for Canadians, as Trudeau kept insisting. This was all about making Canadians safe. Yeah, right.
Can you address the paper trail issue here? Because it would seem to me we would be able to track. I mean, I built an iPhone application years ago, a speed reading app years ago, just to read the news a little bit more quickly. I mean, this was a hobby project of mine many, many years ago. It ended up being like a top app in the App Store, and it cost me all in the amount of money I spent on like $15,000. Now, granted, it's not a massive national app that's using servers to track individuals with vaccine passports and everything else, but the cost overrun here is unbelievable. Clearly, there's a paper trail here. No, they can't find where this money's going.
This is like a company that just didn't keep their books, which would, of course, get you in jail in normal society. Somehow Justin Trudeau keeps staying out of jail. And the Liberal cabinet ministers who are directly implicated are going to. They are apparently doing an investigation. In the past, they have been reluctant to investigate this prime minister, illustrating once again how partisan the RCMP in Canada has become. But here's an interesting side note that Pierre Poilievre discovered along with La Presse, which is a Montreal-based newspaper. The first company that got involved with this app was called GC Strategies Incorporated. Now, these are 4 guys sitting in their basement, and they willingly acknowledged that they don't know anything about IT. But yet, this was the first company hired to work on the app. And it's been revealed that they have, since Trudeau came to power, they have collected $258 million in government contracts. 4 guys in their basement. Now, suddenly they're off the government procurement list. I wonder why. Because it's been revealed these guys have been collecting this much money. I don't know very many companies of 4 people who get that kind of government contract revenue.
Well, with no experience.
Outrageous.
Yeah, and with no experience, we don't work in IT, but we're going to be the guys that are going to provide the IT back end for this application. Do we know of any other individuals, I guess through this, what they want, obviously a criminal investigation here, close contacts of Trudeau that would have made money off of this scam?
Well, that's the purpose and the point of widening this investigation, because clearly the books were not being kept for a very good reason, because the costs were going so far over budget. And I believe because the people benefiting from these cost overruns were friends of the Liberal Party. This has happened in the past with Trudeau. And I have to ask the question, has Canada become a third world country where the government can spend literally millions of dollars on its friends and just say, hey, we're in the pandemic, boys. It had nothing to do with corruption. We were just trying to make Canadians safe. This had everything to do with just making a system that worked. Not only did it not work, this kind of corruption is not working for Canadians. We used to be a country that didn't have this kind of naked corruption. We've become a third world nation over this, and it is so troublesome. And unfortunately, the House is not sitting this week. I think Poilievre had Trudeau on the ropes last week with this. And of course, every time you do that, though, he gets up from his seat, runs away from the House of Commons. Poilievre had him cornered in question period. Trudeau was sputtering and stuttering, left the House, once again, handed the bag over to another minister to try to answer the questions. He started stuttering and sputtering too. But the question period is off for the week. The House is not sitting this week. How convenient. So the pressure is off. But I'm telling everybody I know in the opposition to keep the pressure on. It's not just 60 million. It's not just 60 million is a drop in the bucket for this government, for any government. But it's the fact that there was this naked corruption going on and that they think they can get away with it. They think they can walk away with this and say, COVID, COVID, COVID. That's what they do all the time. Every time they're caught in a lie, every time they're caught in corruption, it was the pandemic. Couldn't help it. Not good enough anymore. It was not good enough at the time. It's not good enough now. I think we're all sick of these excuses, these pathetic excuses from a tired, lying prime minister.
Hallelujah. Well, we'll be seeing here if the fire, because to me, where there's smoke, there's fire. So we start looking into these 4 guys in the basement. Where else was the cost overruns? Where else, follow the money? I think we're going to see some really interesting things if individuals can follow this money. We can actually get a clear paper trail. And maybe this comes out through part of this criminal investigation or through litigation, through a discovery process. So I hope we get to see some of these documents. David Kraydon, always great to see you. Thanks so much, David.
Thank you, Clayton.
Thanks so much, David. Appreciate it. And we're just getting word here, like right there at the end here, is like that YouTube just stopped our stream. So I guess that's how it rolls. In the age of censorship.
I wonder if that's Or if that's Trudeau-backed censorship, or if that's the Navalny-backed censorship, or the Assange-backed censorship.
I was wondering about the poll. We put up a poll that said, do you believe MI6 is responsible for Alexei Navalny's death? And I was like, I don't know about that. Yeah. Let's see. MI6 is flagging this.
Then I guess that's why we're taken down on YouTube. So, yeah, but we are still streaming live right now on X and Rumble. Knock on wood. So hopefully you guys are joining us there and maybe spilled over from that. So
thank you for watching this episode of Stand on Guard and being a part of the KRAYDEN'S Right channel. If you've watched this episode to this point, you've watched it all. And that's really important for a small station like this. We always say subscribe, hit the bell, be a part of the KRAYDEN resistance. Resolve to resist. That's what we're doing. And if you become a subscriber, if you're a supporter of this station or a member through Substack, through YouTube, and now you can be a local as well, that's so important to us because I couldn't do this without you. I made a decision to become an independent journalist about a year ago because I wanted to bring all of my experience in the military, in journalism, to you. I don't promise anything I can't deliver. I don't offer clickbait. I offer truth. The truth is out there, and it's my job to bring that truth to light and to you. Thanks for being a part of the KRAYDEN'S Right resistance, and we'll see you again soon.
So we are in a very precarious position in this country. We need a political change, but we also need to resolve to resist.
I did not call people who were unvaccinated names.
The Prime Minister lied and his minions continue to lie.
For everything you did, thank you to put your life on the line for us. You're one of the greatest women I ever met in my life.
I feel because you all will have implants. And we measure your brain waves. And I can immediately tell you how the people react, or I can feel how the people react to your answers.
Oh, no, Mr. Bond. I expect you to be chipped.
I'm a liberal and a proud socialist, Mr. Speaker.
This is a Manchurian candidate. For people who don't understand the expression, I'm not talking about the movie. I'm referring to somebody who can be used as a useful idiot by another country to come out and spout these things off. He is a Marxist.
End your silence. Speak up. For God's sake, stop complying. Start rebelling. They're out to get you if you do not resist.
Goodbye, mercy's sake alive. Looks like we got us a convoy.
Canadian country singer Paul Brandt here. I've been listening with my wife and 2 kids, and we want to say thank you for all you're doing in defense of civil liberties and freedom.
I'll ask the question I posed to you at the start of my round. Will you apologize on behalf of the government for this outrageous invite?
And
stand by the invitation.
Of course, what I said in my initial.
You have no shame.
What? Oh my heavens!
There is nothing they fear like the crystal clear sound of someone somewhere telling the truth.
So it will be a world integrating the physical, biological, and the digital dimensions. So it will be a new world.
Stop giving them the benefit of the doubt. Because I can tell you, you cannot comply your way out of a tyranny.
When did you and your government start to become so afraid of your own citizens?
And now he's calling them domestic terrorists and wants to freeze their bank accounts. This has been absolutely outrageous. And everybody now is starting to agree that Justin Trudeau has lost this fight.
That's the press, baby. The press. And there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing.